Okay, so we got a piece of 8x8 Kydex, fits over our mold. We're gonna make a Glock 43X holster today. So this came off a sheet of 1x2, cut down to 8x8, and this is .08 Kydex. So we're gonna mold this to be an in the waistband holster and set it up to be able to run with a claw and Raven clips, DDC clips, whatever. So here is, oh, I had a piece of Velcro on there earlier. All right, so pardon the background noise. The vacuum pump is running right now. We've got another mold going. Let's get this over to the heat press, and as soon as this other one's done, we'll throw this one in and we'll run through the process. All right, we're gonna take our piece of Kydex. So I use a t-shirt press. I heat it to about 220. It gets it a little hotter than that, but that's the setting. I think it's actually like closer to 230, 240 when you run it on a heat gun. You can get this up to about 300 degrees or so. I found it works okay for me around that 240 mark. So anyway, this is just a protective film that goes over it when you heat it so the Kydex doesn't melt and stick to the top. All right, let me check my other piece and see if it's done, and we'll get this one in. All right, we're gonna heat this up, and then we're gonna throw it on the vacuum pump. All right, that's going. When that gets to about 50 seconds or so, I got it set to run for 70 seconds. So when it gets to about 50, I'll turn the vacuum pump back on. I already have the mold on that. So let's get over there and get set up while this is finishing heating. All right, so we're about 50 seconds. We're gonna turn the vacuum pump on. I've already got the mold sitting there ready to go. So, let me grab this piece of Kydex. All right, we're gonna take our 8x8 piece. I'm gonna lay it right over the top of that. Make sure we're even. And now the magic. All right, now you want to make sure everything's nice and vacuumed all the air out. That looks like that's going to be a really good mold. I like to make sure it's really nicely pressed in the trigger guard and along the trigger guard, and then along the barrel. And then you can do along the sight channel. Make sure you're wearing gloves. I mean, you just heated this up to like 250 degrees. It's warm even through these gloves. I don't know if you notice, I hold it for a little while and then I'll pull my fingers. It starts to cool down after a little bit. You could throw some compressed air on this, or like get a sponge and a wet rag, and that would help cool it. I like to give it a chance to really mold into place and kind of form. So I kind of like letting it just vacuum for a minute, losing its temperature. Kind of just that thermal peel off. Get you guys in a little closer. See the detail there. Don't mind the dirtiness. It's just for my dirty gloves being all over the top. But all right, so when that cools, we'll mark it, trim it, cut it, fold it, turn it into a holster real quick. Cool. We'll be back shortly. Oops. Well, that's getting screwed up the video. We'll take that out. Alright, so that's pulled from that. Set our mold over here. Let it cool down. Alright, let's go mark the... Alright, so then we're going to take our... These are washable pencils that I use. They come in white and black, so if you, depending on what color Kydex you're using. Some of the lighter colors, it's hard to see one or the other. And then obviously the black doesn't show up well on the darker colors. So just something to bear in mind. Worth getting a couple of each. I don't know if y'all noticed, so what we're going to do is cut along the trigger guard up around here. What I like to do is bring it up something like that. That way there's a space for your thumb in here. And then we'll cut the slide down about there, because I don't know if he's going to be running an optic or not. So this is cut for a 48, so a 43 stops there. So I'm going to come just below that and come across. Same thing. I'm going to come across. And if you're not sure, fold it over, put the gun in the holster, and then trim it again. I just have made enough of these, especially in this layout, that I already know where I'm going to want to draw and trim. So you're cutting out around that magazine release, and then up around where your thumb would go as you establish your master grip. So same thing, we're probably going to come off about here on the slide, and then I'll clean this up throughout the process, but basically it'll be something like this, and then I'll shape some version of this. So basically it'll be something like that. So what I'm going to do is cut the outer edges off, we'll fold it, and then we'll trim it closer. So let's go to the bandsaw. Alright, bandsaw time. Sorry y'all, it's going to be loud. And just cut those corners, that way this thing can mold okay. Probably could have cut that a little lower, but it'll still be fine. So alright, now let me heat the so I got a little strip heater that I use to heat this up in the center. We'll fold it, we'll drill our holes, and then we'll finish grinding it out, and then we'll buff it, polish it, rivet it, etc. Cool. See you in a minute. Alright. So this is hot. What I'm going to do is set that over the center of it. Let that heat up. And what we're going to do is fold it over the blue gun with a couple of these clamps. So I think I got 3 of them sitting here. I usually use 2, but we'll clamp it. I'll show you 3 different places you can clamp it. So you're just going to keep an eye on it till the center gets pliable. The heat source is down the middle of that, so that's where it gets hot. So you shouldn't, if you use this method versus like a hair dryer or something, if you don't have any of that, you can just heat your Kydex and just fold it around your mold and then do what you need to. This is just if you're vacuum pressing versus, you know, what they call book pressing or sandwich press, whatever. Trying to be real careful. This other t-shirt press is over here. Okay, that's pretty pliable. Give it another second or two. Let me get y'all set up. All right, that should be hot enough. So what we're gonna do is set it, fold it over, and then what I like to do is put one on the trigger guard, put one on the slide near the barrel, the tip of the barrel, and then put one right there. So now we'll let that cool down and we'll do the rest of our stuff. See you in a second. Okay, now we're molded. We need to trim it, drill some holes. Probably take it down about there. Probably take it somewhere like that. And then I like to knock it off right about the site. So you sort of get like a medium sweat guard, I guess you'd call it. And then we're gonna take this right up to that. So, let me get my let's get all right, so I'm going to push that as close as I can get it. And as high up as I can get it. So probably right there. So that's where we're going to set this thing, mark our holes. So we'll be right back. Alright. Get everything marked. Got a clamp on there. Get it as straight as possible. Pull our clamp. All right, on to the next step. So what I like to do, since I use 1/4-inch rivets, it's a 1/4-inch hole, at least on holsters. On sheaths you can use a smaller, but get your 1/4-inch nut and bolt, and it will keep everything together and tight until you're done cutting and trimming. And then once you're done, you can clean everything, put your rivet in, and you can put your hardware on. So, okay, back to the bandsaw. We're going to cut around these parts we know we don't want. that's where we're at now. Now we need to round some edges off on the 4x36 belt sander. Alright, I'm going to try and do this best I can so y'all can see what's going on. Basically, I'm going to hit it on this curve. Even on both sides. As you notice, we're slowly rounding that off. You'll see I'm using that to kind of flatten it out. Then we'll round this edge, and then we'll check it before we trim any more. We'll hit all that and knock all those hard edges off. That's where we're at. So let's grab the glue gun and check it. Okay, so that should be plenty low enough for any optic cut. I'm gonna bring this in a little more. We can bring that down a little too. So, all right, let's hop back on here for just a second. Where you really want to be checking, because you want to be sure your trigger guard stays covered, but you have enough clearance to get a finger comfortably in there. We're going to take a little bit more off. Double check that. Side was just a little taller. That's probably perfect. Double check. I like it. There we go. That's where we want it. I personally kind of think we should bring that up a little. I don't know if you caught what I did there, but I don't have very large hands. I have about medium hands. So I made sure it's cut. You can get in, access the magazine release. Trigger guard is still fully covered. Your barrel is covered. There's room for an optic cut. And everything is rounded. So we'll take it over here on the buffing wheel, and 6-inch buffing wheel. And we'll hit it on the sisal wheel. We'll knock all this rough stuff off. And then we'll hit 45s on the edges. And then we'll hit the front side and polish. And then we'll run it one side on the polishing wheel. We'll clean this. We'll put rivets in. And then it's ready for your hardware of choice. So we're getting there. Alright. Sisal wheel. Taking all the burrs off. And you gotta hit it on both sides. So we'll flip it over here in a second. You can see it's already. Then we'll flip it over. We'll go the other side. Whoop. Sometimes you need to hit that center section a little bit. Okay, so that cleaned all our loose strays off. Then what we want to do is take it, let's make sure everything's clean. And hit where your magazine release would be. Hit where your magazine release would be. Then we're going to hit everything at basically a 45-degree angle. And what you're doing is you're softening all those edges. I hit that a little too rough. You can, I mean, this is a fairly light process. Alright, so as you can see, everything's slightly rounded. No hard edge. See how that's kind of softened? Now what we'll do, come over here. And this has just got polishing compound on it. And this is just a loose cloth wheel. So and you want to be holding on to this. This thing can grab this and really launch it. And make sure none of your edges got hard again. I like to hit the stuff that I know is going to be up against the body one time. And then clean it up and then kind of polish it on that 45 so that it stays good. Alright, so polish that inner one more time. Alright, we dropped a couple of 1/4-inch rivets in. Let's set them. Now let's test fit this thing. think we're good to go. It's ready for your hardware of choice. So we'll put a clip on it and yeah, ready to go out the door. All right, so we got our hardware. I found spare mod wing, which I guess I need to order more. And then what we'll do is we'll just slide that on there. Put our clip in place and drop in our screws. Let me get a screwdriver. Oh, I'm gonna do this on camera. Yeah. Push that up against that, straighten that as much as possible. Drop our last screw in. Now, I would recommend Loctiting these, but just y'all have a good one. Because it wouldn't be appropriate if we didn't do a holster fit, huh? So, with that clip and that setup, it's about how it rides. You could put a wedge on that and tuck it in a little more, but you could still get a full grip, still able to reholster. Oh, that was a bad draw on my part. There you go. Y'all have a good one now.